This episode of Love Lauren is sponsored by SB Fabrication and Parts. So this is the new Briggs and Stratton for the 14-inch. I did a bit of a walkthrough unboxing video, so go and check that out if you haven't seen it previously. Today I just wanted to talk about the small amount of assembly that's required on this thing. It's pretty insignificant, just worth noting in case you end up with a little black funny shaped piece and 2 screws hanging around in the box, as I did. So that thing hangs off the exhaust, and what it is a little exhaust deflector. And basically you can, there's a couple of holes drilled all around the back end there, so you can direct the output of that exhaust in whichever direction you'd like, just to make for a more pleasant user experience, I suppose. I bolted mine on just pointing straight down. I'm curious to see how it's going to fit on the machine with the handlebars in place. I know some people seem to run into problems with that, but I'm hopeful it's not going to be an issue. But someone did suggest that installing that exhaust deflector before the motor goes on the machine is a good thing to do. So I went ahead and did that. Figured it's one less thing to do later, one less thing to forget about, one less thing to lose, etc, etc. So basically it's just the 2 screws that screw in there, and you can point it at whichever angle you want. I've just pointed mine straight down, so that exhaust's sort of blowing downwards, not in my face, I guess. Other suggestions have been, off to one side, so you're not walking behind it as much. I think I'm going to play with that after I got the motor installed on the machine itself, on the deck, to figure out exactly where it's going to sit. And then the question will be, do I have access to those screws very easily with the handlebars in place as well? So, is it necessary? Not sure, but probably. As I said, at least makes for a more pleasant experience since you're walking behind this thing. It's time to get our engine on here. Like it or not, we're ready to do it, I think. I've just got a little cloth up here just to protect the paint surface, and just a little bit of foam over there to protect our blade from our tools. I've got the 3.5 horsepower engine here, of course with its clutch cone on it already, and if you can see it, the exhaust deflector up there as well. So what I'm going to do, just align the clutch halves as best I can, and I'm just going to line up our holes. Throw a bolt down this slot. On these newer engines, the 2 holes on this side of the machine are adjustable. They're fixed at the back, but it just does give us a little bit of leeway if we need it. Just pop one in at the back and start it going down as well, just to give us a bit of a point of reference for the other 2 holes. And I'll get the cloth out of the way now as well. So we'll just lift that up and carefully slide it out of the way. This one goes in the back. This is when having that little bit of wiggle room is kind of helpful, just to get everything lined up. Your clutch is maybe a little bit in the way here as well. Go. So just feel that starting to bite on that thread at the back, just working blindly obviously at the moment and going finger tight. Then we'll get the clutch body reconnected. I've got the spring on the shaft in there already, so don't forget that. And then we'll move on to our last front. I greased this one up because I had a lot of trouble getting it. The threads were a little bit mucked up, so had to run this bolt in without the engine on. I don't have a tap and die set, so it was just a question of trying to get it in there without doing any damage. A little bit of grease seems to have really helped, just to get it going down there. It looked before like this bolt was going in at an angle, and it was getting in about sort of, I don't know, halfway, a little bit less than halfway, and then just completely binding up on something. So it feels much better now for a little bit of lube. I'll never forget, I think it was Jamie on Mythbusters saying, you know, if in doubt, lubricate, something to that effect. And you know, I don't know, there's a lot of truth to that, I reckon. Until these bolts are a little bit further embedded, we just can't get the ring spanner around there. So a bit of a tedious process, but we'll get there, bit by bit. And while I'm doing this, you can admire my awesome paint job on this engine. Straight from the factory. It's called Factory Black. No, I'm just kidding. I haven't actually painted this engine at all. I know some other guys do, and they look pretty damn good, especially when they're matched to the rest of the mower. But I don't know. I kind of like the look of the straight up factory paintwork, and I know some people have taken off some of the pull starts and stuff like this on it, and had trouble with the recoil springs and getting all that jazz back together, so it's not something that I want to muck with. So it's worth noting as well, just while I'm going here, that we want to get these bolts done up very snugly. Obviously they're threaded straight into the deck of the mower, and on the twin rails there's obviously a lot less meat, and they tend to crack a lot more readily than the solid deck machines. Now the main reason attributed to that is vibration from the engine, or perhaps from the clutch if it's not set up correctly. Basically sort of vibrating the deck to bits, which doesn't sound good, and it's not, because it will pretty much destroy the frame of the mower. So it's worth just checking these bolts periodically to make sure that they are done up snugly. Just doing up the two bolts at the back here as well. They pass through a flat washer and a shake-proof washer, the little sort of jaggy ones, and I've replaced the original bolts, in this case with the stainless steel, just for the longevity and the corrosion resistance. So just looking at our clutch here, that looks like it's lined up pretty well. There's obviously a gap to address now. We'll just line up our holes and then get on to getting them back together. In this case I'm using new screws as well, the stainless steel. And they pass through into the countersunk recess on this side, and then there's a nylock bolt for the inside here, which is a little bit tricky to do up, especially without stripping out the head on this screw. So if you've got a big screwdriver, probably good to use it. And we'll just get that passed through. So there's the three clutch body bolts here. If you've got the older style, they're kind of cool, I reckon, but you can also buy replacement kits for the 3 bolts. I mentioned there the nylock nut as well. These can rattle loose, so the nylocks are a bit of a valuable upgrade. I'm going to pop my 11mm spanner over that nylock, use my screwdriver here, and holding the head of the screw in place, the bolt, I'm going to use the spanner at the back to tighten this up. Spin that one around and carry on. The little bent ring spanner works quite nicely here, just to get in there without marring our paintwork. I'm just getting those loosely tensioned, all 3, and then we'll come back and snug them up very tightly. Once we've checked the operation of the clutch fork.